I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of the phrase more is less, right? Maybe your parents have told it to you, maybe somebody at work has said it. Well, especially in this case, it really seems counterintuitive to say more is less. I'm titling this video something like how to be a more effective conversationalist or something along those lines. And the main tip that I'm going to give you guys from this video, and I'll say it right now, is to talk less. Now, again, you may be hearing this saying, this is counterintuitive. You want me to be a better conversationalist, but I should speak less? Yes. Yes, you should speak less. One of the best books I've read, which I'm sure if you're in the self-help space, self-improvement space, you probably heard all about it. You might have even read it yourself. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. One of the best lines from that book, or one of the best quotes from that book, is when he mentioned that you can be a great conversationalist simply by getting others to talk about themselves. You don't even have to chime in and say anything if the person doesn't invite you to. And that is one of the most underrated and undervalued parts of being a good conversationalist that I have found to be completely true. If you have good body language, if you're genuinely interested in this person, if you're genuinely listening to them, everything is going to work out perfectly. If you're listening to this person and actually caring about what they have to say, all you have to do is use their responses to formulate more questions or to formulate another conversation around. Let them keep talking. Let them keep talking. Chime in when you feel is necessary, and don't continuously ask questions because you don't want it to feel like an interview. But if the person just keeps going and keeps talking, a lot of people do like to talk. A lot of people, it's inherent human nature for people to like to talk about themselves. Let them keep talking. Have positive body language. Smile. A smile says, I like you. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see you. Make sure you smile. Have good positive body language. But really, more is less. Really just sit there and be genuinely interested in them, what they have to say, what they have to offer, what their viewpoint is. Think about, how do you think they got there? What are some of the things they do that might interest you as well? What do you find interesting? Maybe you can circle back to and ask another question about it, right? Just sit there and listen, just like you listen to a YouTube video and you don't talk because you're genuinely interested in what that YouTube video has to say. Do that for people. Don't treat people worse than a damn YouTube video, right? Okay? That's all you have to do. Sometimes just be quiet. People will pay attention more when you speak, the less you talk. Because if it becomes a rare occurrence, whenever you do speak up, people will value it and hold it in higher regard. People will view what you have to say of more importance. So not only is talking less good because you can actually not really have to put in as much effort and just listen to what somebody else has to say and then continue talking based off the things they said, but when you do speak, people will actually care and put more value on the things you have to say. This does seem counterintuitive, but trust me, it really does work. And another trick, in addition to all of this, that kind of makes this whole thing work is if somebody's talking and all of a sudden kind of stops, don't be weirded out by that like 0.5 seconds of awkward silence. Usually, if you haven't thought of something, maybe you're nervous, maybe you just don't know what to say, maybe this person didn't give you much to go off of. If you just don't say anything, if you just kind of wait for them and give them this kind of body language, eye contact that you're kind of waiting for them to say something else, most of the time they'll continue to talk, right? If you kind of give them this impression that they weren't finished talking and you're still head nodding, interested, listening to them, if they stop talking and you don't have something to say, just continue to be silent. 99% of the time they're going to continue to talk and or say something to you or ask you a question or something. A lot of people are very scared and nervous of awkward silences, even if for a brief moment. You have to learn to be okay with those. And the people who naturally aren't okay with those, they will fill that up with words and ask you questions and talk. Okay, Trust me, it's not going to be weird. Like, don't have it go on for too long. If it's 5 seconds and you're just sitting there staring at the person and they haven't said anything, maybe then you want to chime in. But usually wait a couple seconds, and then you could say something if they stop talking. But usually if you kind of give them the impression, the body language, that you're kind of waiting for them to respond, they'll continue to talk. So more is less in the situation, and talking less can be one of the best ways you can be a conversationalist, right? You don't want to overdo it. Like I said, we don't want this to be an interview, right? You don't want to just sit there and say, so where'd you go to school? Okay. How much money do you make? Where do you work? What are you interested? Like, you don't want to do that. You want to chime in and give your opinion, and maybe they'll ask you your opinion without you having to chime in and say anything. But sometimes people won't do that. Sometimes people will just talk about themselves and not really invite you to speak. But that's okay. If they don't invite you to speak and they keep on rambling, that's good. That means they're having a good time. They feel open. They feel comfortable with you enough to kind of unload on you, or at least tell you about themselves. So don't be afraid of that. Just because you're not talking doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Doesn't mean you're a bad conversationalist. In fact, it probably makes you a good one. Okay? So hope you guys found what I said in this video helpful. Less can be more. Especially if you're one of those people that likes to talk and ramble on. Just tone it down a little. If you think people don't respect you or value what you have to say, talk a little less. I promise you that'll change. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love every single one of y'all. Take care of yourselves and your mental, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.